freaking gorgeous out there.
All right, guys, we'll rock and roll here on Real Talk with Keith Smith in a matter of moments. Getting the mics hot as we speak. Keith Smith is fresh from a real estate conference, I believe, in Phoenix, and we'll cover the details of what happened at the conference. Kind of a macro look at real estate. Then we'll take a Central Virginia, Charlottesville, Albemarle County look at real estate. All real estate is local, but there's certainly something that could be taken from a national lens and apply it to what's happening here in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Let's cut to the chase. Inventory is at decade lows. Transactions are at decade lows, and values are at all-time highs. That's it in a nutshell here in the car footprint.
Show over.
Yeah, I mean. We haven't had transactions, units sold at this level in when? How long has it been since?
Well, that's the hard part. The hard part is, as far as local data, we only can go back to 2016 because it gets a little squirrely. But when we get to go live, we're 17% below where we were in 2016, and 37% below where we were in 2021 in the unicorn years.
So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the median value in the car footprint, ladies and gentlemen. Now 480,000 plus and expected to increase. There was the announcement, news that we broke here on the I Love CVille network on Wednesday about Afton Scientific, friends of the program, the biotech firm right over the city line that's got a $200 million infusion into their biotechnology pharmaceutical company, and 200 new jobs, six-figure jobs coming to this area. Ladies and gentlemen, the new job growth is going to be significant, rapid, and immediately impact cost of living in this market. So giddy up and get ready. It starts with Afton Scientific, the news we broke on the I Love CVille show in the about 48 hours ago. Judah Wickower, we can rock and roll when you're ready. A week absolutely loaded with real estate news. A week absolutely loaded with development news. My friend, we can start the program when you're ready. Welcome back, Keith.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you in a little bit.
I know. I miss you, man. I miss doing this. It was awesome to hang out with the grandkids, though.
Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille show. It's a pleasure to connect with you guys on the last day of the business week for the I Love CVille network. So much to cover, ladies and gentlemen, on this fine and fair talk show. Real estate and development and economic news has been significant this week in the greater Charlottesville metropolitan area. We have Keith Smith, fresh from a trip to Phoenix. Was not here this past Friday. Neil Williamson had his seat and did a hell of a job. We covered some of that news with Neil on Friday, and even more broke this week, including what we reported first in the market. Afton Scientific, a $200 million investment in a biotech firm right over the city line down Avon Extended. 200 jobs, six-figure jobs. Folks new to the area, giddy up and get ready. Judah Wickower behind the camera. We thank Yes Realty Partners for being a part of the show. Interstate Service Company, a home's best friend. Woody Fincham of Fincham & Associates. Charlottesville Settlement Company. We have Mexicali Restaurant and Pearl Certification. The Free Enterprise Forum, the best of the best when it comes to real estate. Judah Wickower, studio camera, and a stranger is back in the saddle. Keith Smith, good Friday morning.
You mean I'm strange?
No, I haven't seen you in a bit. Welcome back.
I know that. It's, it was a good thing, man. We went and attended two conferences out in Phoenix at 115 degrees. So where you guys were unfortunately dealing with a hurricane, we were at 115.
We just had some rain here. No big deal.
Yep. and got to hang out with grandkids and daughters. We were blessed to bring them there. I went to the Grand Canyon, my first time there. If anybody's never been there, you should do it. It's unbelievable. And then we went to go visit family in Santa Fe. So it was a lot of fun. But traveling these days are a bit complicated.
Yeah.
A one-day trip turned into 2 days. And we got back at dark 30 this morning. So, if I'm a little peaked, it's because I haven't quite woke up yet.
Well, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, yeah. So I did a quick slide as we were sitting in, and we can kick off the show a little bit about this. We like to do, on Real Talk with Keith Smith, we like to do the end of the month. We're running succession month, so we're up to 9 months. And I just took a quick look at it, so that'll be slide 1, if you don't mind, Judah.
Judah's going to put it on screen in a mere 5 seconds. And ladies and gentlemen, look at the screen, look at the screen, look at the screen. Data, we love it. Keith Smith, the show is yours.
Yeah, so I put some percentages on it because this has been a big drop. So we are 17% below the sales volume of 2016. I've been asked all the time, why don't I go further back? It's because between 2014 and 15, cars switched from one aggregator, one MLS company to another, and the data is not as reliable from my perspective going back. So we're 17% below, but we're up 75% in sales price. So we've jumped 75% since 2016 to now.
Unbelievable.
But I put a little, if you take a look.
You hear that, Judah? From 2016 to 2024, 8 years, 75% increase in median values in the car footprint. 75%, Judah.
But if you take a look, hey Judah, how you doing?
Hello.
Hi, good to see you, brother.
Thank you.
If you take a look at the yellow line, that little peak is.
I want to slide the microphone in front of you so viewers and listeners can actually hear what you're saying there. Oh, there we go. There we go. Thank you.
Hello, Judah. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Judah Wickower. Hello.
Hello. That sounds like a Three Stooges skit right there.
Hello. Cully Back at the real estate developer. Kevin Sullivan, welcome to the broadcast. Carly Wagner, welcome to the broadcast. Christelle and Lake Monticello, welcome to the broadcast. Juan Sarmiento, Kevin Yancey. You got 2 supervisors, 1 counselor, Ellie Tucker, Andre Xavier, Spencer Pushart, Rob Neal, who's in commercial real estate, the who's who of real estate, Stephanie Wells Rhodes, watching the program.
So remotely, I attended the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission meeting yesterday as we were traveling, and I actually shared with them some of the slides from our last month's analysis where I broke it down by jurisdiction, which I hope they enjoyed it. But if you go back to slide 1, the unicorn years, you see that little poke right there of 2021? We had 3,557 transactions. That's a
Massive.
That's a 37% jump from where we are today. So we sold 37% more homes in 2021 than we did in 2024 on it. But we did on a price jump. We've jumped up 28%. So we've jumped 28% in price, but we've reduced roughly 37% in volume. If you could just take a look at that, the way it ramped up and ramped down, it kind of tells you everything you need to know about the market. The other thing
How's the industry holding up?
Well, it's funny you should.
How's the industry holding up over there?
It's funny you should say that.
We're at 8-year lows when it comes to inventory. Now, you can make the argument that some agents are doing transactions that are at the highest clip in the history of car. So
You're talking about the highest dollar value.
highest dollar
Yeah,
value.
I would agree with that. For the heck of it,
Yeah?
I haven't got a chance to make a slide.
Okay.
When I was sitting around an airport, I was running, okay, what's the sales volumes look like?
This is right up your alley, Logan Wells Kalelo. We have 3 firms watching the program. I'll highlight the agents watching. Keith, people have been missing you, man.
I got to get my coffee to kick in.
Keep going. You got a lot of folks watching.
So I've got a little handwritten notes on here, guys. So you're going to
Okay.
have to be careful, cautious, patient with me. Only a couple hours worth of sleep here. So that's how much I love you, Jerry. From zero, we got 1,085 agents in cars. So let's quantify this, right?
Okay.
So these are agents that are board and MLS members, right?
Currently, right now,
As of last night, when I looked at the register, we were 1,085 car board and MLS members. Now, we want to quantify that number a little bit. There's some folks in that 1,085 are, let's say, brokers of firms that really don't generate sales. They're just brokers of firms. So, but the number's awfully close.
Okay.
185.
1,085.
1,085, right. So, would you want to gander between 0 and 1, how many agents did that cover? So in other words, between 0 and 1 transaction, thank you for that.
Yeah,
that
okay.
Look at what the hell you're
It's
talking
good
about.
to talk about here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That have done between 0 and 1 transaction.
Half of them.
Not quite. Actually,
What's the number?
443. It's roughly 41%.
So 443 car
Year to date,
board and MLS members.
correct, have done between 0 and 1 transaction. Now, keep in mind, some of those zeros are brokers of firms that don't do transactions, but they are members. But that number is not a large amount.
443 card board and MLS members have done between 0 and 1 transactions. How many have
Correct.
done 0?
That I didn't break out. I just did
Okay.
between 0 and...
Okay.
No, I tell you what, somebody can do the math. 177 done 1 transaction.
Okay, so 443,
Subtract 177.
443 minus 177.
Yeah.
266 have done 0 transactions.
Now, keep in mind, I'm going to keep on saying there's maybe 10% of that are brokerages or folks that are running brokerages.
226 car board and MLS members have
So
done 0 transactions.
So I like to do
So
0
177 have done 1.
177 done 1. You combine the 0 and 1, that's 41%. 2 transactions.
Hold on one second. I'm putting this down. This is fantastic. 0 to 1 transactions is what percentage?
41%.
It's 41% of car. Good Lord.
443.
41% of car has done 0 to 1 transaction. Okay,
Now,
what's
let me
the
tell you,
next level?
so let me stop there for a second. The data that we learned in Phoenix, so in cars defense, we're outperforming the country on a whole.
Oh, yeah, but this is not sustainable.
It's
This is not sustainable here.
Well, wait until the rest of the numbers.
Yeah, this is not sustainable.
2 transactions.
Okay, 2 transactions. How
is
many?
99, which is 9%.
99 car, board,
rounded.
and MLS members have done 2 transactions as of 10/4.
3 transactions.
Hold on one second. And you said that's which percent?
I rounded it down, so it's 9%. It's a little over 9%, but let's call it 9%.
Okay, what is it?
99 at 9%. 9% of the total 1,085.
Okay.
3 transactions.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm writing this down. This is fantastic.
I
This is
should have did a
fascinating.
slide. I'm sorry, guys. I just ran out of time.
Okay. 3 transactions, how many?
54, that's 5%.
3 transactions is 54 members. And that's which percent?
5%. 4 transactions are 45.
45 members.
That's 4%.
4%. Okay.
5 transactions is 26.
5 transactions is 26 members.
2.5%.
2.5%. Okay.
5's an important number.
Okay, 5, does that mean you can start making a living doing this? What's the take on 5?
So I've got to artfully choose my words here.
Okay. Yeah. Because at 5, he's basically saying 5 is the threshold where you're not on a median with a can or a hat in your hand asking for loose change.
Well, it's very interesting. So one of the things, the reason I did this work, one of the things we learned in Phoenix was this was a national stat, somewhere between 30, I didn't bring my actual notes with me, but it's around 30 to 40% of the total real estate agents in the United States are having trouble making the car payments.
Yeah.
Having trouble making their mortgage
I
payments.
would imagine that.
Right? And the reason why 5 is so important, it's not necessarily a volume thing. So it's really difficult, right? So if I do 5 $2 million transactions, that equals one number, right? Obviously. If I do 5 $200,000 transactions, it equals something else. But the reason that 5 is an important number to pull, it's kind of a level of professionalism. So that's what this whole conferences we worked at was about: leadership and professionalism and coaching and mentoring other agents in the industry. So it's kind of like anything, right? If I'm on show 700 and something, right? We're approaching 800.
You got this down. Yeah.
That's exactly the
Yeah.
point. So I'm trying to artfully do this
It's
without.
not your first rodeo.
So when you do like 5 transactions a year,
You start knowing what's up.
your level of professionalism is kind of there because you're doing stuff. As far as making money goes,
Yeah.
I think that number's closer to 8 to 10 transactions. Right? So if you just wanted to
So what's the 6 transactions?
38,
6 transactions.
38,
38 members have done.
3.5%.
Is this year to date?
This is year to date.
So 3.5%.
Year to date. 7 is 26%.
Okay, hold on one second. 7 transactions. This is fantastic. 7 transactions is how many members?
26%.
26 members.
26 members.
And which percent is that?
2%. I'm rounding them down, so 2%.
2%. Okay.
8 is 27 at 2.5%.
Okay. 8 transactions is how many?
27 at 2.5%.
27 members. 2.5%. Okay.
9 is 23 at
23 members.
5%.
Okay.
So then what I did is I wanted to see what I broke out a range between 10 to 15 transactions.
Okay. So the next category is 10 to 15 transactions.
Correct.
Okay.
53, which
53
is
members.
which is 5%.
Okay.
15 to 20,
15 to 20. Got it.
42 at 4%.
All right. 42 members.
And
At
20
which percent is 4? 42?
4%. Round
Okay.
it down. 20 plus or 32 or roughly 3%.
20 plus transactions is 32 members
Yeah.
at 3%. I'll give this back to you, okay? So the viewers and listeners are on the same page. Keith has done statistics year to date, 2024, January 1 until what, 3rd of October?
Until the 3rd of October.
The 3rd of October. We have a total of 1,085 car board members.
Board and MLS.
Board and MLS
That's
members.
important.
Board and MLS members. 177 of that 1,085 car board and MLS members have done 1 transaction. Let me start at the bottom. 266 of the 1,085 have done 0 transactions.
But quantify that. 0 includes brokers and so forth and so on. So
Yeah.
that number is a little, it's got baked in.
But it's pretty darn close.
it's about 10%.
Pretty darn close. 177 have done 1 transaction.
So you add those two together, it's 443 at 41%. So 41%.
41% of car board and MLS members, 41% have done 0 or 1 transaction.
Correct.
And what are they paying in fees each year? Dues, access, fees,
You would have to ask me that.
all the above?
Yeah, it's about $1,200 to be a member, and then I honestly can't remember what my quarterly MLS dues is. I should know it, but I just pay it. So
Roughly?
I can tell you exactly.
Carly, you know that number?
She probably-
Agents watching the program?
She probably does.
Let us know. Agents watching the program, let us know what that number is. Put it in the feed. I'll relay it live on air.
I just write
You have
checks.
a boatload of firms watching here.
I just write checks.
Okay, Neil Williamson, welcome to the program. This is
Neil.
not sustainable what's happening here.
No,
This is not sustainable. We are doing business economics 101 right here, ladies and gentlemen.
My number is a little different because I do commercial on top of it, which is $160 a quarter. So I probably pay about $500 a quarter. I'd have to go ahead and look at it, but somebody else probably knows this a lot more than I do. Hold on a second. 100. I was way off. It's blah 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 blah. Courtesy 90, 117, 160. Blah blah. Let's see. I'm looking at what I'm getting paid here. So 7, 11.
All right, while he's doing that live on air here, I'll give some more of the statistics.
It's roughly 350 to 375 a quarter.
350
on top of the
1,200.
whatever it is.
So I'll use the number 350. 700 is half a year. 1,400 is, so you're looking at $2,600.
Yeah, but we also donate to RPAC.
$2,600.
Yeah.
Someone that's doing 0 to 1 transactions not donating to RPAC.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay. $2,600. 41% of CAR is doing between 0 and 1 transactions. In fact,
But that's not a, that's just a,
I understand that's the norm, but eventually people
No.
are going to say, what am I doing here?
okay, Jonas Smith.
I mean, eventually people are going to be like, my credit cards are out of control.
Why
I'm
does
not
my-
making my mortgage payment.
why
I'm
does
not
my
making my car
family
payment.
don't
I need
let
to
me-
cut back on what I'm spending.
Why does my family don't let me finish my sentence?
Well, I mean, this is just common sense here.
But my point I was going to make is that's just pittance of what it costs to run your business,
Oh,
right?
100%.
Right, and that's the point I'm trying to make is that
These people are also paying for marketing collateral. They're paying for headshots. They're paying for their cell phone. They're paying gasoline. They're paying wear and tear on their car. They're paying for their time of meeting with people, business cards,
money.
letterhead, flyers.
Yep.
I mean, good Lord.
Yeah. So, it was a very interesting conference. So, everybody, of course, is the big news cycle is the whole law, the settlement, right? The reality of it is it's a money thing. And you're going to see it, and I'm going to still stick through this. I don't think you're going to see it this year because most people just paid their dues because of the way the cycle hit in October. I think you're going to start seeing numbers decrease because when you're 17% below where you were in 2016 in volume, 37% below. So everybody who came in the business in 21, we're 37%. I think when we're done with the end of the year, that number is going to be north of 40.
Gary Palmer, jump in the conversation. Welcome to the broadcast.
So you're going to have roughly 40% less sales by the end of this year versus the peak of the year when everybody was getting in. So the run-up, if you look at slide 1, if you look at the run-up...
Slide 1 back on screen.
Thank you, Judah. The run-up from 20 to 21, right, the volume of sales went from 3,027 to 3,500, roughly. Then dropped back down to roughly 3,000. So it went up in 21 and hit exactly where it was in 20 versus 22. And that's when everybody started getting in, right? And this conference was talking about that. And how do you coach and mentor folks that got into when there was 3,557 transactions, and now there's roughly 1,000 less. There's 2,200, a little bit more, 2,254.
Dude, there's way more than 1,000 less.
Yeah, it's about 1,200.
We're talking 1,300 less.
Yeah. So,
we're talking a third less transactions.
Yeah. So how do you coach and mentor people in the business to stay motivated and stay engaged and change their business model? But the vacating of agents is really not about, now I got to talk about my buyer broker compensation. We're 1,300 sales less than we were in the peak of 21. We're 17% below where we were in 2016. Now I get it. Our sales volumes have gone up, right? But the math just doesn't balance out, and eventually there's going to be kind of a reset in it. So,
Fantastic data from Smith here.
yeah. Well, let me see something. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything on my handy dandy red little note cards.
So I want to put this in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. 8 transactions. 27 members have done 8 transactions year to date. 9 transactions, 23 members have done 9 transactions. The 10 to 15 transaction category, 53 members have done that. The 15 to 20 transaction category, 42 members have done that. And the 20 plus transaction category, 32 members have done that. I remember when I bought my first place as a very mischievous mid-20-year-old, Tommy Brannick was the guy that was whisking me around in his Tahoe at the time. Actually, Tommy had a Jeep Grand Cherokee at the time that he was whisking us around. And he said something that still resonates with me today. 10% of the agents do 90% of the business. You could make an argument here that 10% of the agents doing 90% of the business is probably more like 9 or 8% of the agents do 90% of the business.
So I actually was going to do a little math for you right now where you were talking just to pick 8% of...
8% of the agents in car.
No. 8 transactions, I'm sorry.
8 transactions is 2.5%, 27 members.
No, what I'm doing is 8 and up.
Okay, 8 and up. Yeah, oh, I would love to do that. 8 and up, how many?
8 and up is 16%.
16% of the agents in CAR have done 8 transactions or more.
8. Let me double check this. Yep. 8 and up is 177 agents. Let's see what 10.
Here's a very straightforward question for you. Are you ready for this one?
I am, sir. I'm
It's
listening to you.
no secret that real estate professionals, realtors, a large share of them are 55 plus.
57. I think our average age is 57.
Average age is 57 years old. I would expect with the average.
I beat that average.
I
by
know
the way.
you do. I know you do. I would expect with the average of 57 plus years old, you are going to start seeing, especially with the changes in the industry, retirement become a
Yeah.
very real reality for many in this profession. So
Ten-
I'm curious to see how retirement impacts this. I'm also curious to see this. Are you ready for this one?
I'm listening.
How many agents will choose a path of not having these professional membership dues
Well,
and
so-
saying, I'm not going to pay these dues.
Yeah.
I want the MLS access, not the other stuff, which keeps my overhead lower, which keeps them in the game longer.
Well, at the moment, you have to. In order to get MLS access, you have to
But-
be part of the trifecta.
But that's changing quickly.
I would suspect,
I mean, come on.
yeah, and I'm,
If there's anything that's
trying
the
to
whole
choose-
antitrust thing
I'm
is
trying
you
to
have to
choose-
be a part of these organizations to get a part of the MLS. That ain't fair. That ain't fair. What's it called? With the business practices.
yeah, it's fair and equitable. But so I'm trying to artfully use the words.
I know
and
you
thank,
are.
thank you thank you
Yeah.
for bringing me along here, because of these conferences and the CEO's event. We're a little privy to some, let's say, martini conversation.
Okay, I'm with you.
I think this time next year, you're going to see that trifecta requirement go away.
Of course.
I think it's moving a lot faster than everybody thinks it's going to move. Alabama's on its way of doing it. RE Colorado got sold to a private company. Bright is taking over a large percentage of the country in different
Certainly
sections.
the Commonwealth. Certainly the Commonwealth.
Again, I'm privy to some conversations of confidentiality
Yeah.
that I need to keep that way. But for those agents who are watching, this pendulum is going to start swinging. You're going to start seeing, I think, the breakup of the trifecta requirement. I think ultimately where it's going to land is you're going to get a choice, right? I think it's going to be a la carte, that you can get to pick which one you want to do. That's my opinion. This is not going to be very popular. And it's pretty interesting. The room was kind of split down the middle about should Clear Cooperation stay or go. My vote, it's regardless if I think it's good or bad, I think it's going. I think DOJ is going to make it happen. Very interesting thing when I was at the CEO event. The CEO from NAR wasn't there, but DOJ was in the room. There was DOJ lawyers in the room. And you can always tell a lawyer.
Of course.
They kind of squeak when they
You can tell. There's lawyers watching the program.
I got
You
it.
can tell by the
And
attire.
and I'll tell you, any
you can
law-
tell by the attire.
And well, we were all in suits and ties, so you couldn't tell.
Well, the type of suit.
But most attorneys I know
type of
go,
suit.
most attorneys I know go, yeah, you're right. We squeak when we walk. So you can tell they were kind of the uptight guys and gals in the room.
Always can tell a lawyer. Always can tell an engineer.
And they were absolutely, yeah. And they were having a lot of one-on-one conversations with very important people in our industry. So, I think these two big things.
Okay, so at that clip, the MLS dues are $350 a quarter, $700 a 6, $1,400 a year. That cuts pretty much the yearly overhead, at least from a dues and membership standpoint, in half. And then you have the average age of a realtor nationally is 57 and a half.
No, I think for cars, 57.
57.5.
I believe so. Whoever's watching. can
Neil's watching right now.
Confirmed, I
So
believe.
you're
it's
telling me this.
But look,
You're telling me this. Hold on one second.
because I want to jump in because I think these is what I'm what I'm saying is what I think is going to happen a year. And I called the settlement a year ago. I'm calling this trifecta, and it's going to be an option. These associations, I just want to get this out there, actually do really good stuff.
No.
Right?
I get that.
And have, everybody remember this. Go back to, I just want to do a plug here. To go back to slide 1, right? So, the unicorn years was AKA.
Turkeys could fly in the wind. Wise person told me that. Very wise person.
Mrs. Smith.
Yona.
But I want to take it a different way. That was
Gary Palmer giving props to the program. Want to hear it?
That was
you guys are 6 to 12 months ahead of where this market is going. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Thank you.
From Gary Palmer.
Yeah. Well,
Gary Palmer's a pro's pro. Would you say that?
Yeah, very much so.
The dude knows what's up.
Yeah. Well, we come from the same background.
Yeah.
Right. And we look at things more from a business perspective.
Well, no. I was literally, God, this is so creepy. I was literally going to say Keith Smith and Gary Palmer are businessmen that happen to be realtors. So you guys are businessmen that happen to be realtors. There's a lot of realtors that are learning business. You guys have business, and then you're realtors.
So here's my takeaway from the 3 conferences that we attended, right? Everybody in that room were business owners. They thought like business owners. They function.
That's how we think.
Their real estate business as a business.
Right.
There was a 4th one that we attended, which was more sales oriented, right? It was more salesperson oriented, and that was the big takeaway. As we were hiking around the rim of the Grand Canyon, I leaned over to Yona. I go, the difference between the 3 and the one that we just did is everybody in that room is thinking like a business owner, and I think that's, if you're a real estate agent right now and you're watching this program, and if you don't have business plans, and if you're not watching this from a business perspective, you're going to get gobbled up. And so you should, and that was the takeaway from the coaching and the mentoring. Sometimes these are hard conversations to have, right? They're not pleasant, right? They're difficult conversations to have. But if you're not 110% in on it, unfortunately, you might get left behind. And that, by the way, we're at 11.70%. I've done 10 transactions and above. So we're actually I think is a little bit better than 10%. Is doing roughly 100% of the business, or 90%, or 80%.
You say 11% is doing 90% of the business?
I think we as an association, CAR, perform a lot better than the national averages out there. But I think what'll happen here, just back to my ADD kicked in, back to slide A and that peak there. That was the COVID years, right? Turkey can fly in the wind. So, life was simple for us at that point, right? Life as a country wasn't simple.
And everyone during peak COVID was bragging about it on social media.
And that's what got us into trouble. 100%. Everybody, then every meeting I was in, every conversation.
Put a listing online, this sold within a few hours.
What the F were people doing, right? And it just snowballed from there. But I want to go back to giving a shout out to the associations, the trifecta associations. I have a problem, frankly, with the requirement of having to join. I have a huge problem, always had.
Dude.
That being said, they do wonderful stuff, because we wouldn't have had a run-up of 3,557 sales in 21 if CAR, NAR, and VAR, and particularly Virginia Realtors, didn't petition.
Yeah. During COVID, that it was an essential industry.
And if that didn't happen,
yeah,
and many states didn't happen.
And if that didn't happen, the Virginia economy in a lot of ways would have absolutely tanked.
We learned this from who? The good doctor?
Yeah, Lisa Sturdivant.
Second GTB.
Chief economist of Bright.
Second GTB behind.
Second most impactful gross domestic product in the Commonwealth of Virginia behind government contracting.
There you go. Well, military, government, all that kind of great stuff. So
here's what he's saying in the nitty gritty. My job is, one of my skills is the succinct communication. This is what I'm learning from Keith Smith today. Put that chart back on screen, if you can, Judah Wickhauer. In 2021, which was peak COVID, it's on screen now. In 2021, peak COVID, there was 3,557 transactions.
In CAR.
in car
So let's
during
talk-
the first 9 months of the year,
So that's every jurisdiction. Well,
which I would imagine that's a record, right? In car history.
I don't.
I know you can't go past 2016, but we probably can say with some confidence that that's a record number of transactions for the first 9 months of the year.
I would be a guess, but yes. For the sake of a talk show, we're going to say
So
it.
because there was such sales movement momentum, you got a lot of Tom, Dix, and Harry jumping into the industry. And as the Tom, Dix, and Harry jumped into the industry,
That doesn't mean they're not good
I
real estate
didn't say
agents,
that.
right?
I'm
Right.
not throwing shade. I'm saying you got a lot of people jumping in because during peak COVID, people were posting on social media that, oh my gosh, I sold this house in a couple hours thanks to a post on Facebook. That's what was happening during peak COVID.
Well,
a lot
yeah.
of people get in the industry. Now, 3 years later, that number is at a generation low. Sales for the first 9 months of the year, units sold, a
So
generation low.
Nationally,
And that is compounded or coupled with the NAR settlement, with the news with the NAR settlement, the repositioning of listing agreements, and how you then, as a
don't think-
buyer's agent, I think it compounds it, Keith. It compounds
it impacts it.
It impacts
It
it.
impacts it.
It impacts it.
Compound means it doubles it. or
It impacts
something. It impacts it for sure. But that's not.
Compound doesn't mean it doubles. No. It impacts it. It influences it. The headlines influence.
In my New York City school system.
And that all is influenced or compounded or impacted by inflation, that is impacted by low sales, groceries out of control, fuel out of control.
So I just looked at the number. 37% of all real estate agents are having trouble making their
37% of
That's
all real estate
nationwide.
agents
That's
are having trouble making their car payment. That's what you said.
I just looked at my notes that I wrote down
Yeah.
from the thing. Yeah, look, I want to be clear.
You know what the next question we
I
have
want
to
be
ask,
clear.
right,
There's
is
really great agents that came in.
we all know you.
During,
we all know
during that
Yeah.
run up.
Matt Neese came in during that time. He's doing a great job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So and we have people on our team, but here's the challenge here. You can't do business the same way. You've got to look at this as a business end of it.
You know what the next question is, and it's a challenging
I will tell you,
one.
the people that focus this top 10%, 11%, 8%, whatever you want to call it, when you sit down and have a conversation with them, you can tell very quickly they're business people, right? And that's how you're going to have to look at stuff, look at this going forward on it. But these percentages are going to change because I really think, and that's just not me, I'm just regurgitating what I heard at these conferences. There's a real world where we're going to be 40 to 60% below this 1,085. Because look, there's going to be a couple things that's going to happen right now, right? Certain firms, and what we need to do is not specifically call
I know
out
that.
firms,
I know
right?
that.
But certain firms are creating their own contracts, creating their own listing agreements, and this is all the stuff that we were taking deep dives into it.
You should see the mailers that I'm getting at the house, marketing collateral, on how they're positioning compensation and their commissions.
I'm not even talking about money. I'm talking about how you do business.
Yeah.
Right. And so there are large national firms,
Publicly traded. We're not naming any names.
We're not naming any names, that are creating their own.
They have a library of documents and an online portal where agents can access, and these forms
So
have
here's the downside.
commission arrangements with their brokers
No.
that may be statewide that say anything over a certain threshold you keep as a recruiting mechanism.
And I'm not talking about money. I'm solely talking about how I do business. Right? There are MLS firms out there that you don't have to belong to the trifecta. If there are firms out there that provide the documentation, this trifecta is going to go away. There's just way too much money out there. There's like over $2 billion worth of settlements. And it's going to keep on climbing.
You know what the next questions you got to ask, and these are hard questions and uncomfortable questions are. I don't have to ask the uncomfortable questions if we don't have to.
You can ask them.
I don't have to ask the uncomfortable questions.
Ask an uncomfortable question. I may not answer it, but I may be sipping my coffee instead.
I don't have to ask the uncomfortable questions.
You ask whatever you want, Jerry. I'm a big boy.
What happens to the associations if the membership drops of this magnitude and you're no
That is
longer
not-
forced? You're no longer forced to be members of the trilogies,
The trifecta.
the trifecta. The next question
that
is,
is
what
not an
happens to
uncomfortable question.
what happens to the real estate tied to the associations if the associations owns real estate tied to their association, and there's still a significant portion of debt service due on said real estate, and membership drops at the same time that debt service is out.
This 1,000% wrong.
No, I don't think you're 1,000
Been in-
for years.
been in enough rooms. I'm the smartest. Purposely always try to put my
Touch on very similar scenario.
Yeah, I'm not going to take any lines here. You know, they are, I'm sure. What they're confident locally. I'm confident. Make the commission conversation
Piece of cake.
piece of cake,
Yeah,
right? That's really the low bar of this whole.
that was the first inning.
100%. This path that we're going on is going to be a little long. The economy is going to kind of expedite it, without a doubt. I can tell you, I think next year's sales volume is not going to be much greater than this year's, if not a wee bit less, right? And I'm not trying to brag, but we're having the best. But, you know, if you and all that, you're going to do. There's a Buffini. A real pro. The folks that focus on professionalism and grow in their level of professionalism, and that's where associations can help, right? They get into this weird thing in this business, right? Because these associations don't really want to cross what the brokers are doing. It's this weird, which I could never understand, relationship in it. So there's that slippery slope that they have to figure out a way to grow. Now, certain, like for instance, Richmond's association is owned by brokers. It's not owned by members. We're owned by members. Huge difference. Huge, very different conversation to have. They're going to be a wee bit more nimble than us because decision versus I am Ann Burroughs, Josh White's about ready to take on the presidency. My hat's off to these guys. This is tough stuff. CEO or the executive hat in the ring to get for the next long-term support. Because it's coming, folks. All you got to do is we were going to set this role, this
Fantastic.
1102.
For an association that's dropping membership,
So I gotta
I'm very curious to see how it impacts a recently launched and newly minted foundation. Very curious to see how that is impacted with this.
I don't think it'll impact that.
I mean, there's overhead associated with the foundation.
Yeah, but
That overhead is covered by what?
We'll bring in Dave Norris to answer
Please.
answer that question, because I'm not on the board and
That's
not
fair.
there. But I will tell you, it is not. Even though it's called CAR, it is seeking funds from other locations. So it's not. It's partially funded by CAR, but not 100%. But that's a. I'm way
different
beyond.
Different topic.
Well, I'm just way above my pay grade
Different
on
show.
that.
Different
Somebody needs to answer that.
I want to ask you this question.
No, let me get this out,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. I will tell you, all this conversation we're having right now, I would say the top 15% will not impact it.
Well, no. If anything, if you're in the top 15%, 2025 in the 0-1 going to vanish, and then there's more market share.
So whoever's watching, whatever real estate agent might
You want me to highlight some of them?
but
Go
let me-
ahead.
Let me ask the question.
Sure.
Whoever's watching this, in the last 12 to 24 months, have transactions gotten more complicated or easier?
Well, obviously more complicated.
But complicated in a level that I've never seen in 40 years of doing this. Even a simple cash transaction can go squirrely. It's why I think we're in a buyer's market, and we haven't looked at that yet. We'll take a look at where
Depends on the area.
depends on the area, depends on where it's at. But what's happening right now, buyers do not, back in the unicorn years, if it had 4 walls and a roof, somebody bought it. Even if it wasn't standing, it was all on the ground, somebody bought it. Right now, it's got to be in the right location. It's got to be priced right, the right features. Got to be in the right condition. If that's $1,000 or $20 million, the buyer's just going to walk away from it. They are not. We are not seeing a ton, at least from my perspective, a ton of multiple offers in this craziness. And thank God, we're back to a normal,
Balanced.
balanced
Yeah.
market where it takes pros. The buyers are getting this market way more than the sellers. The sellers take a little bit longer usually to get into it, but now we're back into home inspections, right? We're no escalation. Yeah, look, there may be a few cases out there, but back in the unicorn years,
Because I get them. With
that I learned out there. It was very interesting. What month is this? This is September. In August, there was the highest contract cancellation in the history of NAR keeping numbers. It was 60,000 nationwide transactions were done. Actually, I take that back. It was the second highest. The first highest was the first month of COVID when it hit. 65,000. Around 60,000. Okay. Now that number's, but that and the and we're freaking out. No, it was like 60,000 plus or month in August kind of stable. People were scared. And that's the reason why they were getting out of contracts. So I'm telling you, this
It was
is
also peak media attention for the NAR settlement.
I don't think NAR settlement had a damn thing to do with it.
We were inundated with that.
I get that, but this was more of a fear. I really
Fear
think
of what?
that's the whole point.
Fear of what?
That's the whole point.
Fear of where the rates could go after the election? Fear of what? Ukraine? Fear of Gaza? Fear of Israel? Fear of credit card debt? I mean, fear of what?
That's exactly the point. That's the point. There was no rationale.
That's what I'm
there
saying.
There was no rational reason.
So
But it
was
happened.
the fear not the inundation of the media cycle?
Oh, I'm sure media. It's all about media for
Yeah.
sure. The what is a multiple thing.
I attribute it to what I said.
Well, economic reason
We're fantastic. The
Coffee.
professionals watching you right here, the pros. You're crushing it today. There's one thing I want to push back. The only thing I want to push back on. We are 53 minutes into the show. And you said in 2015, sales numbers, units sold.
2016.
Or excuse me. Thank you for. Units sold.
I think so, yeah.
That.
No,
I
no.
disagree on that. You do.
I don't think they will be.
I want to hear your thesis on that. And I'll give you my thesis on why I think that's not the case. You go first.
Yeah, so
That's the only thing I haven't agree with you on the entire show.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So the simple reason for it is I don't think inventory is going to grow.
Well, obviously, if you can't sell units if you don't think inventory is going to grow. Why do you not think inventory is going to grow? That's the whole basis of your thesis, that we're not going to have as many units sold next year.
Correct. So again, I just don't think we're going to have the inventory.
But why?
Because we're not building enough to bring in. Everybody thinks that we hit 5.5 or 5.7.
That's going to be part of my argument. Go ahead.
And I'll tell you, to side with your argument, top 4 national builders who all said when you hit between 5.5 and 5.7 inventory is going to jump.
Yeah.
My gut's telling me no, and I don't really have a good reason behind it. I just don't think it's going to grow. I think it's going to on
The slide?
the slide again. Take a look at 18, 19, and 20.
Okay.
See how we were bouncing around 3,000?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll adjust my opinion a little bit. We might jump up to about 3,000.
3,000's a massive jump, Smith.
Yeah, but
We're talking an 800 unit jump.
yeah, but we're not going to get.
Was that a 40% increase?
But we're not going to get to 3,557.
No.
Yeah.
3557 is never going to happen again in car history.
I still
3557 will never happen again. 2021 units sold will never happen again in car history.
So you're probably right. I'm probably wrong, but I just think. But if you
if you get
so
to
you're thinking we're going to go up to 3,000.
I think 2018, 2019, 2020 is a good indication of where
hope you're right.
2025 is going to be.
I hope you're right. I really
In
do.
2025, you're going to see rates in the mid-low fives. And if we see rates in the mid to low fives, the individuals, the families, the households that secured the 2.5% or the 3% are going to do the scales of justice. Do I give up my low payment and my 2.5%, my 3% rate, thousands of dollars of equity I have?
And when
I hope brokers are saying episode of Real Talk. Team members, you need to sustain and persevere into the second quarter of next year, and then you will see momentum uptick.
So what I don't know.
That's what should be the mission, the message that should be passed on to agents.
I don't know because
Sustain till next year.
I don't know because I don't think I have that information. I would.
I don't have that information.
Yeah.
Is this? What was the with good?
If I remember,
Okay.
I remember
So
correctly.
that 2020 is an anomaly because
Then we're going to jump from 22.
that's a massive.
I'm going to say you're right. My gut's telling me. We'll find out, obviously.
That's a 37, 38% jump. That is massive.
I don't. Okay. I would have to do the math.
I'm doing the math right now. 2254 times 1.37 gives you 3,087 units. That's a 36.5% jump. If we get a 36.5% jump through the first 9 months of the year of next year, people will be able to sustain their livelihood. If I'm a broker and a team leader, I'm saying to my associates, my colleagues, figure out a way to persevere until Q2 next year.
Well, in essence, that's what I was talking about up until this point. This is where the professionalism pays off, and going ahead and knowing how to do the business of it and the transaction of it. Look, I think what's going to happen is you're actually 3,000, but the pool of agents is going to be less.
And the ones that stay around are going to get more slice of the pie.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, we shall see, because as long as you'll have me this time next year,
This is fantastic.
we'll
have the data.
We'll run the numbers.
Yeah.
And we'll find out who's right. I almost was going to say, well, you want to bet a bottle of booze on, but I'm getting tired.
That's too far of a bet.
I'm getting too tired of losing to you.
Too long of a bet. I'm 9-2 on, soon to be 9-2 on prop bets after I win this prop bet with Judah Wickhauer in the Lewis Mountain neighborhood. That's going to take me to 9-2 on prop bets here.
Here you go. Well, I'm
We got
smart.
a prop bet on units that come on the market between now and close of business 2024. The over-under's at 9. Judah's got 3 units. 9's a push, no one wins. 8 and under, I win. 10 and over, Judah wins. He's got 3 so far.
So I'm a smarter guy. I've only been to Vegas once, but when I lost a couple of hands at blackjack,
You didn't go back to the table.
I decided to go watch Tom Jones
There you go.
and have a martini. I said, you know what? I got a better chance with Tom Jones and a martini.
There you go.
Actually,
Which makes you a smart man.
yeah. No.
Makes you a smart
I told Yona the other day. I go, yeah, because as we were driving. Well, we'll end on this. Have you ever been out to the South?
Oh yeah. I'll preface. As a gambling man, I've been to Las Vegas. I've been to Tahoe. I've been to New Orleans. Very much enjoy casino time.
Well, this was the first time.
Blackjack guy. You know the best odds in a casino? Judah, do you know where the best odds? Do you have a 3-shot setup?
Yeah.
Do you know where your best odds are at a casino?
You're at the bar.
If you can count cards, you can
blackjack.
shift the odds in blackjack. But if you can't do that, the best odds in a casino, just for an average Joe or an average Sally, where is it?
Roulette?
Let's see.
It's the pass line on the craps table. The pass line at the craps table. You play the pass line on the craps table. Now, you're not going to get the excitement and the adrenaline and the that little rush you get playing the pass line on the craps table. Jon Snow, exactly right. The pass line on the craps table.
So when we were, this will sound.
Now, if you can count some cards, it's blackjack. But you're looking at a 6-deck shoot, 7-deck shoot, 8-deck shoot, depending on the casino you go to.
Hey, honey, there's a reason I use a spreadsheet.
I get it.
I can't
I
count.
get it. It's a pretty. Center
Inside
screen
out
drop.
too. Look at that. We got a pretty California redwoods. That's pretty.
Really, the viewers and listeners can't see that, kid. The viewers and listeners can't
I'm
see
now
that.
going. Smith finally lost it.
Jon Snow is exactly right with craps.
This will sound a little bit entitled, but when I was in the Marine Corps, I visited every European city multiple times, from Moscow to London, multiple times.
Okay.
I've never been to the middle of the country. It's the first time I've ever been.
To Phoenix.
I've been to the East Coast and the West Coast, and my God, when we drove from Phoenix to Santa Fe it blew my mind. You know, in 45-minute car drive, the total to hands down. If I could pack up my trash and go, I'd be in Santa Fe in a heartbeat. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Interesting stat about Santa Fe. Do you want to know what the average age of people in the city of Santa Fe is? Because I'm an idiot.
What's that?
And my brain won't shut off, and I'm walking around looking, going, how come I don't see any young people? 52. average age is 52.
What, when you attribute that to the cost?
Retirees are just going there because it's, this is that Sun Belt kind of thing, and they leave when it gets cold. Hiked up to 10,000 feet. It was absolutely gorgeous looking at all the, I'll send pictures over the weekend of all the thing. My Division I athlete daughter makes me go on these hikes and drags me up on it.
So fun.
We will see, next Friday. I got Woody coming in. I'm going to see if I can get Dave or somebody else to join us to go ahead and talk a little bit more. But think about your business as a business. If you're a real estate agent, and you do great.
Keith Smith, Judah Woodcower, Jerry Miller. Real Talk with Keith Smith online at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Show archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Look at the businesses on the partners tab on realtalkwithkeithsmith.com, and you'll see the trusted advisors in the have them.
Oh, stop.
And the central.
Thanks, guys.